What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to the WWE Crown Jewel 2024 Pay-Per-Viewpoint post-show, coming to you from the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast, and I am Tony Mango, your host as always, flying solo for this edition. And I gotta warn you ahead of time, I might have some noise in the background. We're having a little bit of a family thing going on. I don't want to get too much detail, but I'm gonna keep my phone on in case I need to get any kind of messages about any kind of stuff going on. So apologies if that is the case. Apologies for the awful beard I've got going on because I haven't had time to shave. That'll happen after the pay-per-view. But we have to get some of the stuff out of the way. So getting things out of the way, let's talk about that. I want to just hit you with some plugs right now. Very first thing to mention is right now we have a live goal on the super chat side of things for the live chat. I set it to, I believe, 5 super chats of any kind to, or maybe it's 10. I honestly don't remember. I did this about 2 hours ago. But if we get to that goal, then I will do at some point, hopefully in this next few days or so, some kind of a live, or I don't know if I should say live necessarily, some kind of an edition that's on the regular feed, not the Darkcast feed, of fantasy booking the Crown Jewel champions from every year dating back to the original brand split. So as long as there were 2 women's champions, we'll kind of compare those two. As long as there were 2 men's champions, compare those two. Kind of do a little bonus feature like that without it being on the Darkcast here. So it says 5. Okay, so I got it on 5 there. I figured I'd keep it simple for this, but 5 super chats of any kind, and that unlocks that. And of course, if you're listening to this after the fact, then there are so many other ways that you can help out on the monetary side of things and elsewhere. Whether you are listening live or not, hit the like button on this video, double check you are subscribed. Also ring that notification bell for future alerts and stuff. But keep in mind, Redbubble and TeePublic. Actually, I should probably put the little graphic up on here. Redbubble and TeePublic for the merchandise side of things. If you want to join the YouTube channel membership or the Patreon, those buttons are out there in the most obvious ways. The join button's the join button. Patreon's at patreon.com/smarkoutmoment. Keep that all in mind. That all helps out a great deal. If you were interested in the Discord server, go ahead and hit it up there too. And we'll come back around to some of that stuff in a little bit. But yeah, so to be perfectly honest, when it comes to Crown Jewel, as I said, we got a little thing going on with our family member. Let's see if that's anything crazy. It's not right now, thankfully. But yeah, so my attention's been divided on this pay-per-view and dealing with that kind of madness. But I will say that I did watch it and it felt like a dud. I don't want to bury the lead, but I don't feel like I agree with any decisions on this except for maybe 2, maybe even just 1, but I think across the board, I don't necessarily think this was the right call to make. I don't think that the way that they structured the card was really the best way. I don't think that the way that they went about with picking the winners for some of them, and then even how they did the finishes for some of those matches, it didn't line up all that well. The matches were fine. None of them were great. I don't think that there's absolutely anything that you need to watch from this card if you missed it. Like if you were like, it's middle of the day, I got work, or I got, something else going on, and reached a point where that was like an issue for you to watch this show, I think you're fine. You could skip it. Obviously, we got Carl with one of the first super chats. Thank you, Carl. That's 1 out of the 5 to get that bonus edition. Keep in mind the other ones. Doesn't matter what type of super chat it is, and if we could start a new goal too, we could do that too. The Carl was the second one. There you go. Is Carl going to round out all 5? I don't know. Let's see. But yeah, so getting into the nitty gritty of this whole thing. Of course, the first 2 hours of this was just a pretty pointless pre-show. That's very alliterative. Pretty pointless pre-show, where they just talked. They had Big E talk about some food he tried in Saudi Arabia. And I've never tried camel before. I'm pretty sure if somebody offered it to me, I would probably try it. It's on my list of like animals where like if you give me snake, I'm going to try it. If you give me, I've had wild boar, I've had alligator, like I've tried a couple different things. Buffalo is good, bison's good. But the camel side is starting to lean into that. I don't really know for sure if I would eat it or not. I probably would. But I'm not going to eat like turtle. I'm not going to eat anything that's cute at the very least on that front. And we got some more super chats from Carl. Carl's already unlocked the goal for the thing. I think if I don't know why it hasn't said that it connected yet. It says 4 out of 5, but I see 5 on there. Now it has. Okay, so goal is complete. I'm going to set a new goal if I can. Does this offer me? Yeah, start another goal. So we're going to go 10 super chats of any kind. We're going to let that get to the hour time limit. We're not going to be an hour on the podcast. I'll set it for 45 minutes. Just make it a little bit less time. What should our other one be? I'm just going to put down bonus episode. We'll figure it out. Give us some suggestions. There we go. We'll put that in there. So 10 super chats, starting that goal on there too. Thank you, Carl, for those super chats. Thank you for unlocking that. And I will be trying to record that. I might even record that later on tonight with Rob or so if I have the ability to do so. And thank you, Peter, for the happy delayed anniversary. For anybody who's curious on just, me and the wife side of things. Let me fix this awful hair. We went to see Drunk Dracula with, if anybody who is in the New York area, there's a thing called Drunk Shakespeare, where what they do is they do like, Macbeth is the one that we had seen. And one of the cast members drinks 4 shots of tequila before they even get started. And then throughout the show, they drink a little bit more. And it's kind of an improv thing. So we had seen that before. It was really funny. And we saw Drunk Dracula on Halloween. And that was really good, too. Shout out to the Drunk Shakespeare Association. They're really, really good. Carl says, hope everything goes okay with the family, Tony. Sorry for the interruptions. No, that's good. That's the best type of interruptions, I want that interruption, and I want good news on the family front from a hospital thing. But totally lost track of where I was going, but that's okay. I think I was talking about how the lineup was kind of strange. So yeah, I don't think that they set this up in exactly the right way that I would have. And one of those things that people I've seen complain about. Oh, no, I was talking about the camel thing. I'd eat camel. What the hell? Why not? Now I'm just immediately thinking of Octopussy from, check out the A Review to a Kill series on Fanboys Anonymous. I got the background. I've got my Peacock feed over on my other screen, so I just noticed that like Triple H is talking to Michael Cole and Liv Morgan and Cody Rhodes, but as you can tell, I don't have my earbuds in, so I have them muted. If anything happens on there, Rob or somebody will probably reach out and let me know. But suggestion from Guy 123: WCW 2000 reaction, New Blood Rising, or the Great American Bash 2000. I'll have to keep those in mind. If we get to that super chat, then at this point, those are the 3 suggestions. So maybe one of those. Just head up those super chats, everybody, and make sure we get to that goal. So you can miss out on the entire pre-show. You're not missing out on a single thing. And when it came to starting off this show, they started off with the 6-man tag. And that already, a lot of people I'm seeing are like, why did you start off with the hottest angle on the whole thing? I'm of 2 opinions about that, because I could see why they could start it off, especially the way that things went. But I also can see why people didn't really love that idea. To me, I wasn't as upset about that. And I do think that one of the issues here is it shouldn't have been Tonga Loa on the outside. I think that Jacob Fatu probably should have been on the outside to interfere and do that. But that's not really a big problem either. That's something that, in the grand scheme, they took Tonga Loa out, and he's the least interesting wrestler out of them. So I guess it benefited the match more than anything. And it's not like he really was a huge factor in that either, to be like, well, that's where somebody else should have came in. And the real good call here, more than anything else, was that Solo Sikoa pinned Roman Reigns. That's the most important thing. That's the thing that should have happened. We were talking about this on the preview side of things, that if Sikoa pinned Reigns, that would make him look the strongest that he could. And that's what happened. So that gives them a lot more momentum heading into War Games. And then the other good call that makes out of this, Bloodline's beating up the baby faces afterward. Sami Zayn comes down to go make the save. They did a little bit of a tease at first because he had, the whole thing was Solo Sikoa. So it was like, well, is he going to join Solo or is he going to back up the baby faces? He goes for a hug. That turns in, now I'm hitting my microphone. That turns into a suplex behind, and then he helps them make the save. But, in the process of doing that, they have a little bit of a miscommunication. Sami Zayn ends up kicking Roman Reigns. Solo escapes. All the Bloodline runs off. And they end the segment with the 4 of the original Bloodline kind of all arguing with each other with the idea in mind of Jay and Sammy sort of on equal footing, and Jimmy and Roman as the 2 that are like having an issue. So I think that's the right way to go about things. I'm looking at the ring that they're showing right now. They're presenting the Liv Morgan. Let's see how this looks. This is big and gaudy as expected. And, it looks fine. Yeah, it's like a Super Bowl ring type of thing. Did they botch the breakup pin? They totally botched one of those at one point. I forget if it was Jimmy that didn't jump fast enough or Tonga. One of them was not super fast on that front. Okay, nothing new on that. But yeah, I thought the match was actually probably either the best match of the night or the second best match of the night. Second batch. I think that they made the right call pretty much across the board here. And that's sort of where things fell off a little bit for me, because at that point, I think everything else you can start to kind of call into question. And the second thing being the women's tag team championship match. Now, we know a little bit about this, not too much, but potentially it was going to be Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez. And since Rhea Ripley is injured and they, weren't able to have her compete, they threw this together at the last minute as a replacement. As a replacement, it's fine. Things happen. You have to adjust. You go on the fly and you kind of adjust things in however way that you can. And they decided that they wanted to go with another women's match. They already had the women's champions against each other, so it's not like you could just throw another women's title match on the card outside of the tag titles. And throwing in all these women together, you got a lot of people on the card, so I'm not really opposed to it. I saw a lot of support, funny enough, for Metaphor. A lot of people upset that they didn't win. I didn't expect that they would win, but it would have been interesting. And it ultimately comes down to Bianca Belair pins Piper Niven, retains the title, and it's just kind of a do-nothing match and sort of a do-nothing segment. So it's not the most important thing in the world. And I don't say that because it's the women's tag team division. I just say that because it's in a replacement match on a card that overall feels like kind of a dud. But it was fine. And they could have gone with a title change, but I think that if that wasn't the plan, they didn't need to just adjust and go with something on the fly like that. They were fine with just keeping the belts on the champions. So good enough. As far as Belair pinning Piper Niven, sure. They could have gone with anybody pinning almost anybody. And I think the only things I probably would have been upset with is if Io or Kairi would have been pinned, because I think that those are the 2 that you would need to kind of keep a little bit less of like taking that kind of pinfall loss. So yeah, I lost track of who was legal as well, Peter. I lost track of that a long time ago. I thought that Jade was legal when Belair went for the pin, and that threw me off a little bit too, because at first I wasn't even aware that they were doing the move. I was kind of just busy looking elsewhere, and it ended up being that like Cargill helped do the move and then Belair went for the pin. So at that point I was just like, all right, well, I'm just going to go with it. And I don't think it really mattered, but they are in a position right now where I think we can look at Belair and Cargill and just assume they're holding those belts. Why did I say it like that? what am I, Tom Hardy from The Revenant, and just get the belts, you know. They're going to hold those belts heading into Mania, I'm assuming. And now that they keep going through the rest of the tag team division, I don't know who they'll go up against that would matter, because the more multi-women or multi-team matches that they have, the less that matters too. And if we come 5 months down from the road from here, and it's just Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill up against Damage Control, against Chelsea and Piper, against, I was going to say Candice and Indy, but you can't do that anymore. And we'll talk about that. Oh, you know what? Maybe we should talk about that now a little bit, rather than rolling that quite into the hot tags. Should we? Yeah, let's go talk about it. So random aside, here's where the graphic will come up of random aside, extra, what do we deal with here? Like hot tags. There you go. Hot tags of the week. Put that up there. Candice, Indy Hartwell and Tegan Knox and Baron Corbin were released yesterday, about like 40 minutes or so, I think, after we had done the hot tags. Might not have even been that long. Might have been like 20 minutes or so afterward. And we'll maybe talk about this again on the hot tags, and I'll probably put up something on EWN about like where I think that they should go and all. Just kind of repeating what I'm going to say here. But in the grand scheme, look, I am always disappointed when anybody gets released under any circumstances. If they want to leave, that's a different story, where, you know, somebody like Mustafa Ali is just like, I fucking want to go, please let me go, and then they let him go, then I'm happy for them. But I don't think that was the case with any of these three. Maybe we'll find out later down the line that they were in that kind of position. I don't know. But with that in mind, I do want to be transparent here and say, like, look, I don't want anybody to ever lose their jobs unless they deserve it, and then that's a different story. But I'm not surprised about these three. If I were to still keep doing the future endeavors forecast, which we stopped because we felt like that was a little bit too mean to kind of be like, you know, at the beginning of the year, who's going to get fired? I'm going to get my Nostradamus thing already. You know, it kind of seemed like it just put a bad omen on everything. But if I were going to look at the roster and say who is likely to not be in that category of untouchable, these three made sense. You know, I mean, realistically, they weren't being pushed super well. Indy Hartwell was effectively a mid-carder throughout her entire career. And a mid-carder in the women's division is a little bit different, because even when you win like the NXT Women's Championship, sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean that you are like a top tier booked talent. And there's a huge stark difference between the way that like Asuka or Shayna Baszler or Roxanne Perez even right now was booked as NXT Women's Champion compared to how Indy Hartwell won it. Just realistically, they put her up on the main roster and she never really was pushed all that much. She kind of floundered and she was stuck in a tag team with Candice and never got out of that. So for them to say that they want to cut her from the roster, again, it sucks. I like Indy. I hope she bounces back, but I wasn't super shocked the way that I would be if you replaced these three with, say, Seth Rollins and Dominic Mysterio and let's just go with Asuka. Like, you know, that kind of a thing. Like, then that would be really shocking for me. Tegan, even more so, was, you could call that from a mile away. She has not been on screen for, I don't even know how many months, but it's long enough that I can't remember the last time that we saw her. I think that it was that story with Natalya, and it was like that they were a team, they were kind of arguing, which was a shit story, and that's not Tegan's fault. But they never put her in a position to succeed. And her injuries were always the thing that got into the way. And that's unfortunate timing and horrible luck. And, you know, I feel really bad that Tegan Knox never, ever got the proper push that she, you know, when she first came in, she seemed like she was a nice prospect. And I don't know, she was just, to use the phrase, snake bit. something was just dangling over her head, some black cloud that was like, you will not succeed in WWE. And look, the way that 2024 has been this year for me, let alone, I'm sure for plenty of other people, that black cloud type stuff seems to happen. And sometimes you just feel like you're impossibly up against some kind of Sisyphus hill or something. And Tegan seems like she was kind of stuck in that boat. So, Baron Corbin, on his side of it, I always made an argument for Baron Corbin. I always said that he was underrated and underutilized, and I still maintain that he should have done more. I think that he should have probably won a world title for maybe even a temporary thing. Jinder Mahal was the WWE champion. Why couldn't Baron Corbin have been? And I think that WWE perpetually put him in positions not to necessarily fail, but to not succeed. Well, a double negative doesn't make any sense there. To not succeed. In the sense of you give him the Money in the Bank briefcase and you don't book him to win a title. But you don't even, on top of that, book him to be strong afterward. You give him the Andrade the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and you do fuck all with him. You give him the United States Championship and you don't do anything with him. You give him the win with Kurt Angle and you don't do anything with him. They always took Corbin as somebody that they could push close, but not enough. And when you do that enough times, that builds up a perception. So the audience just didn't like Baron Corbin enough. And even though he would show his personality and he would do some good things here and there and all, it was never good enough for most people. I liked him. I still think that he should have not been, released and everything along those lines too. But where would I like to see them go in the future? I am currently in the process of thinking about where I would like to see them. Maybe I'll adjust this when it comes to writing up something on EWN, but I would say the places I could expect them to succeed the most. I think Indy would be better off in TNA. I think Tegan could probably do well in AEW, but I think maybe Ring of Honor might be a better fit for her. And I mean, maybe she could be in TNA too. I kind of can't picture either of them going to New Japan or something. And Baron Corbin, or whatever he would call himself, maybe it's Football Tom. It seems like he could have some buddies in AEW that could maybe pull for him. I don't know if AEW is really going to be the best overall fit for him. I think that he could, if he goes to one of those places, I think maybe Ring of Honor could be better for him there too. But I kind of think that Corbin might be better off not continuing to do pro wrestling, or to be traveling around on the indies or something. Maybe he gets into some other type of career. I know he's really into cooking, and it seems like he makes some pretty damn good food too. I haven't tried it, obviously, but he seems like he's got a passion for that. So, maybe he can try some other stuff there. But I want all three of them to bounce back. Always disappointed to see any kind of releases and all. So that's another side bit. That's an extra bonus hot tag to add into the Crown Jewel pay-per-view post show. But when we left off on the pay-per-view side of it, that was Seth Rollins defeating Bronson Reed. And I missed a good portion of this match, just trying to help Caroline get on, set up for a flight to, deal with the family stuff. What I saw I liked, but not enough to feel like I should go back and rewatch the rest of it either. If anybody saw the full match and I missed out on something that's amazing, let me know. But it just seems like it was kind of run of the mill. And, good, but most matches are good these days. We're in an era, and we've been in for quite a while now, but we're in an era where most matches are better than the matches we used to get. And the difference between good and great is, it's a different metric than what it used to be. I'll go back to something that a lot of people think is sacrilegious to say, but to me, I think that this is a great way of phrasing it. If you took Ricky Steamboat and Macho Man Randy Savage from WrestleMania 3 and you put that on a card these days, it's a regular match. If you put a regular match from a card these days, probably Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed, probably, things on Monday Night Raw, and you put that on WrestleMania 3, people lose their shit. The matches are great these days compared to what they used to be. And it's rare that a match from, an era from 20 plus years ago is as good, if not better, than some of the matches that we've gotten in the past 20 years. But the past 10 years, too, it kind of continues to get higher and higher. And I don't deal with the whole 5-star Dave Meltzer rating thing, but I mean, look at the difference between how we get matches that are, high caliber, amazing stuff from NXT and stuff from takeover matches and all. So Reed and Rollins, probably one of those matches that people would go completely gaga over in 1990 or something. But this, from what I saw, it's a regular solid match. And Rollins gets the victory. It seems like that feud could potentially continue because Reed was popping up afterward and he had a bloody eyebrow or so and seemed to be indicating that he still wanted the fight to continue. So maybe they continue to fight, but they fight on an episode of Raw coming up forward. Maybe they continue to fight into Survivor Series and they book some kind of a gimmick match there. It has to be a gimmick match, I think, at this point. Because if they just do a regular match and Reed wins, then they have to do, a third one. And then they should gimmick that up. That's a possibility, though, too. Maybe they do Reed versus Rollins on the next episode of Raw or Raw from a week from now. And then Reed scores the victory there. And then it ends up being a last man standing match or something. But Rollins getting the victory here probably pushes him towards the title hunt. It's either going to be Rollins, Goldberg, or Punk that fights Gunther next. And I don't think that Rollins, Gunther for Survivor Series and rushing that is necessarily the right way to go. They haven't announced anything for the rest of the year when it comes to December and all, but I think that overall I'd probably lean toward, if they go with Saturday night's main event, having a Gunther match, that should probably be either the Rollins match or the Goldberg match. Goldberg, though, said his last match is going to happen in 2025, and it seems like it might be the Gunther one. So, Royal Rumble? I don't know, maybe. Rollins beats Reed, though, and that's a match, as Drew would say. That led to the first of the Crown Jewel Championship matches, the Crown Jewel Championship, not the championship matches at Crown Jewel, because we already had the women's tag match. But the Liv Morgan and Nia Jax match had, of course, some interference from all parties. Tiffany Stratton tries to come in and cash in her Money in the Bank briefcase. That's not official. Bell didn't ring. She tried to cash in on I don't know, because they did the whole tease of she seems like she was going to cash in on Nia, and then Nia is telling her what the hell, and then she says, no, I was going to cash in on Liv, and Raquel gets involved, and she, screws over Tiffany Stratton a little bit there. Ultimately comes down to Dominic Mysterio throws the briefcase in the ring. Daphne LaShawn, the referee, gets a little bit distracted. Blah, blah, blah. This, that, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Liv hits Oblivion, scores the pin over Nia Jax, and Liv Morgan is your inaugural Women's Crown Jewel Champion. And this is one of those calls that I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if I really would have gone in that direction, but it doesn't really matter. This championship doesn't mean anything yet. It's got no stakes to it. It's going to be, quote, defended every year, but it's going to be defended every year with who the champions were. So it's not like Liv Morgan, unless she is one of the champions, just, by happenstance. It's not like she's going to defend that next year against the two champions in a triple threat match or something. It's just going to be champion versus champion, and that's it. And Liv is a perfectly fine person to hold this honor, but what's the difference between the Crown Jewel Championship and the, what was it, Kuwaiti Cup or something? Oh God, what was the thing that they did recently that Styles and Undertaker had the whole thing with? To wake. I think it was to wake. Something trophy. It's the same thing. It's kind of an honorary championship. It's not a true championship. And, Liv Morgan and the winner of the men's match are going to have these rings. I'm anticipating we're not going to see those rings past next week. They'll wear them on this episode of Monday Night Raw and on SmackDown, and then that's it. And, you know, it is what it is. But it's kind of like winning the Andrade the Giant Memorial Battle Royal or something. It's an honorary thing. It's something that matters more than not winning something. But, you know, I don't think anybody really is going to care too much. Is everything okay on the feed right now? I'm not, this isn't loading correctly for me. I don't know if that's showing up the right stuff or not. I'm seeing a frozen thing on the screen. Let me try to load this on my own. I don't know why the chat's not loading and everything too. I'm supposed to be still streaming though. So let me just double check that that's not an issue. Yeah, I'm, let's see. Oh, it says I'm live. Okay, I guess I am live. I guess it's just my feed that's messed up, so I don't want to play around too much with this. I'm going to just keep my feed separately on here. I don't know what's happening on Firefox for me. So let me catch up with the chat to see if there was any other stuff that I missed. This was totally frozen on a different thing. Let's see. I agree with you on Corbin. This is the match I didn't think would happen because of a brawl. Baron should go to TNA. He would get a main event run, probably in TNA more than anywhere else. Yeah, TNA would be probably welcoming him with open arms. They need a gimmick match. I'm assuming that's Rollins and Reed. Rollins versus Sheamus versus Dom versus Priest was announced for the Raw winner challenges Gunther. Oh, okay. So that's right. Yeah, they did announce the Fatal 4-Way. Oh, you're right about that, Peter. So Rollins, Sheamus, Dom, and Priest. I guess that it's Rollins. Then, yeah, I guess they just do that. Unless the way that they do this is that they go with Priest. And that's kind of like, okay, let's just get that out of the way. And then Rollins, you know, is the one after that. I think if Nia won, Tiffany should have cashed in, and I kind of get it. My feed's good too. Okay, so for some reason this isn't quite loading correctly for me, but it's I got the pop out feed working, so hopefully I end up being able to end the stream correctly when it comes down to it too. So we had the Liv Morgan Nia Jax match itself, nothing you got to check back on. Yeah, that is what it is. If you see clips that are highlights and stuff, you're fine. But then we didn't even have the next match. It was Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. And that match didn't get started. They just started to brawl with each other, and they continued to brawl throughout the whole section. And they took out some referees, some other officials. Jamie Noble, I think, had tossed around a little bit. Adam Pearce, the Raw general manager, took an RKO. And they had a little argument before with Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce on yesterday, I think it was, where they were kind of like Xavier Woods was like, do a 4-on-4 Survivor Series thing and all. I don't think that's going to necessarily lead to anything. I think that this was just a means to maybe like, I don't know if they're going to do like a suspension angle. Or, I mean, maybe they would have done something with this post-show thing that they're doing. Maybe they announced something. I'll have to see. But they could very well have like a Randy Orton is suspended type of thing and like drag that out a little bit longer. Or, these two guys were fighting in such a way that we need to make sure that we can corral them. So they're going to fight in a steel cage at the next episode of SmackDown or some kind of thing. I don't love it that they did this brawl. I think that they could have had a match, but then again, it depends on what they do afterward, because if this was just a means to stall and then they're going to do like an injury angle or something, they could have done the injury angle here. If they are stalling because they want to do a legitimate match, I don't know why they needed to do the brawl and that they would need to stall. It all sort of depends. Right now, I think that I'm still leaning towards the idea that Kevin Owens is going to take out Randy Orton, and that Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes is either going to happen at Survivor Series or it's going to happen at Saturday night's main event. I don't know if you can stretch it all the way to Saturday night's main event. So kind of hoping that the Randy Orton thing happens already in like SmackDown next week or so. Double checking this feed a little bit again. Vince Russo WCW is something worth checking out. Adam bumped Nick, didn't just pointing out. I think that, when it comes to like a card, the way that this was with Crown Jewel, like I said, kind of a dud in a lot of ways. And for them to not have this match and to do just the brawl thing, I think that maybe it wouldn't have saved the card by having this be a real match, but maybe they could have upped it a little bit, because this kind of feels like, well, you didn't even really want to do it. Pierre says, I hate to ask, but all 3 releases were from SmackDown. Do you see more releases coming? I didn't even think about that. Yeah. I don't want to be that guy to say yeah. But yeah, I could see on Tuesday or maybe Wednesday, I could see maybe them being like, okay, let's do one more episode of Raw or one more episode of NXT, and then let's get rid of a couple more people. Like, I don't really want to speculate on who, but like, maybe 2 people from Raw, maybe, 1 or 2 people from NXT that haven't been around in a while or anything, because there are some people that like we just haven't seen. They haven't even been on Level Up, and I don't know if they're injured. I don't know if that's just not prioritizing them. If you do the reaction, will it be on the main channel? Anything that we do on the super chat thing with the goal, that'll be on the main channel. That won't be hidden behind the Darkcast thing. So the one that Carl unlocked earlier, the thing that we're going to do when it comes to picking the Crown Jewel champions, that's just going to be a regular video up on here too. And if we get to 10 super chats and we do the other thing, then that'll be on the main thing too. It won't be on the it won't be a Darkcast. Right now we're on 0 of those super chats though, so if anybody wants us to do a reaction to those pay-per-view things or some other kind of thing or something like that, keep that in mind. So we went from Owens and Orton to the triple threat for the United States Championship. LA Knight versus Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. And I think that this was the wrong call. Carmelo Hayes not only didn't win, he took the pin. And I don't see why. He is in a position that I think if he were to win the championship, that would still be like, people will go, well, he needs to get some more victories and he needs to prove himself a little bit more. Now that he lost this, I think you just have to rule out Andrade and Carmelo Hayes as the next United States champion, at least for the time being. And I don't know who LA Knight feuds with next. I still think that it's probably going to be, maybe he gets into the thing with Kevin Owens after the Owens and Orton thing and Owens and Cody and all. But then that means that's still not ready to go either. And looking at the list of people that they have on SmackDown, the only other thing I can think of is that they don't want to take the title off of LA Knight because they want to put the title on Jacob Fatu or Solo Sikoa. If they go with Jacob Fatu, cool. If they go with Solo, then that I'm not a big fan of, because yeah, it's realistically the spot that he's in right now where he could be the United States champion and it could like upgrade that a little bit or whatever. But I don't want to have him just in these like side feuds. I think he needs to be in the whole Bloodline thing. And I don't think that, Jimmy Uso versus Solo Sikoa for the United States championship is a thing that we need to necessarily see. I think that Andrade and Carmelo Hayes had this long build up just for LA Knight to be both of them again and again and again is kind of ridiculous. So now that Hayes lost, and Andrade is certainly not going to be the next champion, he shouldn't be at the very least, what do? There's nothing I can think of that I feel is a better idea than just putting the belt on Hayes. So I don't really love this idea. Look, I love LA Knight. He's great, but I don't think that his run as champion is predicated on that he would need to continue this going forward. I think that he's fine if he were to lose it. And I think Hayes kind of needed it. So disappointed in that. Match itself, totally fine. Nothing all that super duper special. And the last thing for us to talk about here was the men's Crown Jewel Championship. Cody Rhodes against Gunther. course, you got the Raw side of it with the World Heavyweight Champion, Gunther. You got the SmackDown side with the WWE Champion, Cody Rhodes. And Cody Rhodes wins. I don't know if I really love that idea either. And sorry, it's only the second sip of water I've had the whole day. I just realized that I've not been drinking enough. Gunther should have won this, I think, for a couple different reasons, but I can also try to make the devil's agreement for Cody, and let's do one at a time. So the pro Gunther side of it, I think that putting the belt, even if it's an honorary thing or whatever, that giving the win to Cody here, I did already see some people on Twitter going, oh my God, Cody wins everything. And I don't want Cody to be in that Super Cena position where people stop liking Cody, because that's something that could very well happen. And I think it's kind of dangerous because we haven't had a babyface champion that's been universally loved for a good chunk of time without the fans just abandoning them. Cody is not infallible for that. Gunther winning could have at least gotten some people to go, you couldn't have given this Cody, and kind of kept that up a little bit. Gunther already had a good track record going with the King of the Ring and all, and I still think that he needs to get some more victories as World Heavyweight Champion to really push him onto... He's not going to be on the same level as WWE Champion Cody Rhodes. It's not realistic. Like, Cody is going to take priority over Gunther for most of the matches that are going on. And WrestleMania is going to prioritize Cody if it's not John Cena versus Gunther. If it is, then Cena Gunther has more of a chance of main eventing one night one or whatever than Cody would. Unless Cody's, of course, in a triple threat with Roman and Rock, and that's a whole other thing. But I think that the way that they went about doing this might be, and don't quote me on this because I don't know, maybe the Saudi side picked who won, maybe not. But Peter brings up a good point here, and that's the way that the match finished, the actual pinfall for this was a very Bret Hart finish, and that could be a tie-in to the whole thing with Bret and Gunther and, the Goldberg thing and all that too. So I like the way that Cody won because it still preserves Gunther, and they actually had a handshake afterward. So it's like, okay, well, he lost legitimately. So Gunther is the ring general. He would be okay with that kind of a loss more than anything else. No shenanigans, no hardcore match. He just lost to Cody Rhodes. So realistically, that fits in his character. But I still just don't know if I would go with Cena, if I would go with Cody winning this and potentially doing the Super Cena thing. If they just wanted to have the visual at the end be Cody Rhodes holding this up and, Triple H celebrating with him and Liv Morgan for some reason, then they got their wish. But since this championship means nothing, I do kind of feel like maybe this doesn't mean anything either. And it's not a great precedent to set for the crown jewel idea. Next year, who knows what's going on? I mean, who knows if any of us are still going to be around next year, and whatever is going on for that. But the idea of continuing this next year and just being like, hey, everybody, it's the Crown Jewel Championship. Didn't that mean so much last time? They're going to need to do something to make that seem like it matters. Otherwise, when we come around to November or October or December, whenever they do Crown Jewel, and they go, hey, it's who's champion at the time? Let's go for a prediction. Who are the two people fighting for the championships next year? I'm going to say Bianca Belair versus Charlotte. And I'm going to say it's Gunther again against Roman. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Who cares? Yeah, I kind of would rather them do it at Survivor Series too. I still think that maybe they could do a bragging rights or a Worlds Collide thing, or they could do a better idea of this, but if this is what the Saudi show people want, and this is like, we finally have the crown jewel as a crown jewel kind of a thing, then that works too for me. But ultimately, if they do not have something that makes it seem like this matters beyond just, I got this little ring and I'm just holding this up for, a week and then we just disappear, at that point, nobody's going to care. And nobody will care next year too. But Cody gets another accolade. Love Cody Rhodes, so that's good. It's a shame that Gunther can't get it. And I think that could have helped him out too. And the match itself was good. I don't know if that's my favorite match of the night or if the 6-man tag was. It's one of those two though. And at the end of this, I just go, okay, well, Crown Jewel was a show. And, nothing happened. So, not my favorite pay-per-view of the year. And I do think that they should tweak this, kind of what Peter just said in the comments. They should do Crown Jewel mid-card, Crown Jewel tag team. Like, they should do the bragging rights side of it, or they should do the Survivor Series side of it. And if they just abandon this by next year, that'll be really funny, because that's a possibility too. It could very well just be like, we decided not to do it, even though they said it's going to be inaugural and annual and all. Yeah, so that's Crown Jewel. I don't really have anything else to say about this. So just a reminder, if you want to, chime in on any kind of thoughts, whether it's about this or the releases or anything else, hit up that comment section below. If you're listening to this on the audio only stream, then, shout it out to the heavens in whatever fashion that you want to do. You got the Discord server, you got Facebook, you got Twitter, you got all these other kind of things. We've got in mind the next thing for this week. It's kind of up in the air a little bit. I do want to try to record a main event, a dark cast, a hot tags, and this bonus thing that we're going to do. Rob and I might do that tonight or something. I don't know. It's going to depend on a lot of different factors. We might end up just doing that like tomorrow or so. I don't know if we'll do that live. I don't know if we'll do that in whatever capacity. It's going to depend on a lot of things. It's going to depend on schedules. It's going to depend on what's happening with all this stuff. Let me double check. I might have gotten another message, and I want to make sure that that's careful. You always have to text the wife. You always have to make sure that you let them know that you love them. That's my words of wisdom. Constantly tell people that you love them. But the game plan is sort of up in the air. I'm not counting the bonus thing that we did, that we're going to do as the main event for this week, because that would be like, that defeats the purpose of the super chat being like, this is a bonus thing. So I am going to brainstorm some other things. If we have any suggestions of what you want us to do, let me know, and we'll try to factor that in and roll that into the idea set of it. I do kind of want to get into some November type stuff. So I haven't figured out a Champs Giving thing, but we might do something that we had done last year, which was kind of like a quick turnaround tournament for Champs Giving, and kind of like speed process that. I know that the results of like the past couple Champs Giving things, like people haven't really been tuning in too much on those, so I'm not putting a whole lot of focus on that. I don't even remember if we did a Smark Madness tournament this year. If we did, it's out of my brain. We didn't do a tournament in the summer, like the tournament stuff. It's been a fucking year. But maybe we'll do a Champs Giving thing and make it all like a quick thing with the three of us. Maybe we'll do that live to try to get some people involved and kind of work on with the votes on there. I'd love to do a Time Machine Dream Team again, but I know that we kind of struggled with that last year. So if we do, then it's kind of more of a Rob and I thing. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But if you have any suggestions, drop them in the comments below, or send a tweet, or send an email, hit up the Discord, whatever it might be. And show your support on all the things we mentioned before. Make sure you hit up the link tree, amangotree.com or anthonymango.com. They all go to the same exact thing. Gives you a list of all the Fanboys Anonymous stuff, the Smark Out Moment stuff, the personal Tony Mango related things that are out there. Follow me or subscribe to me or like those accounts or whatever it might be on those fronts. As far as the Fantasy League is concerned, I don't believe that we have Let me double check to see who might have won the prediction side of it. So Callum had said Gunther, so he got that wrong. Nia Jax, so he got that wrong. Roman and Usos, so he got that wrong. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that we all got Gunther wrong. We all got Jax wrong. Doesn't matter with the Owens and Orton thing. I had said Belair and Cargill, so I got that right. We all got Melo wrong. Oh, no. Callum said LA Knight, so he got that. So that's kind of 50-50 split there. And no, I think that Rollins. Okay, yeah. I think I might have gotten it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So wait, let me just double check again. So I got Gunther and Jax and Melo wrong. 3 wrong there. Rob got Gunther, Jax, Melo, and Damage Control wrong. So that's 4. Callum got Gunther, Jax, Roman and Usos, and Damage Control. Okay, so I won that. So once again, I win the predictions contest, but it's probably not going to matter at all because I can't seem to get any of my people to actually square any points. But I'll ask Callum what's going on with all the point things. We'll talk about that when it comes to another thing down the line. Let's see. Let me just make... okay. Asking about diagnosis type stuff. Sorry about those distractions, everybody. Family first all the time. I always tell everybody that. I'm sure that you agree. So, yeah. Head up the comments, hit the like button, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Let me know what you think for the next episode of what we could do. Stay tuned for the bonus thing that we do, which could be as soon as tonight. Maybe it's live, maybe it's not. I don't know. Rob and I might record it at 1 a.m. for all I know. And stay tuned. That's going to do me in for this. Thank you for tuning into the post-show, Pay-Per-Viewpoint, Smark Out Moment, Smack Talk Podcast, whatever jumble of words those all are. And I'll see you next time, everybody. But for now, this is another Smark Out Moment. That's not how I'm saying this. This has been another Smark Out Moment. And I am being counted out.